Hello everyone, welcome to today's market update. So we're going to be looking at the price action. We're going to be looking what happened over the weekend and seeing how our trades are getting on. But before we do that, just a quick shout out to everyone who's followed over the weekend. Appreciate the support. And also just to let everyone know that on the last Sunday of each month, we are hosting a bootcamp, which is where we have a Zoom call, a group Zoom call, and we pretty much break down price action. We learn the main principles when it comes to trading. We learn about market structure, supply, demand, liquidity, order flow, and I will be teaching this purely based on the strategies I use to trade. And also we've got this Discord group, so if you do want some assistance with your trading, feel free to jump into this group. We've got chats going on here. We've got a profit wall where we post all our results based on these strategies and these setups that are given on a daily basis. So that's what we've got coming up. We've got a website, have a look at that. It's tradejournal.co.uk, and we're going to be live on Instagram and TikTok soon. So stay tuned. All right, let's get into the price action. Let's see where we were as of Friday. And let's talk about what's happened over the weekend and discuss what the plan might be moving forward. So where were we? As of Friday, our next trades looked like this. So we were here, and this was posted at around, this is Thursday, at around 5 o'clock on Thursday. And we said we're looking for a few key levels. We said we're broken down, we've come down to this range low, we've had tap one, we've swept that tap with the second tap, and we said this is a great counter trend model 2, whereby we have a second entry, we sweep the first entry for rotation up. And we said we had this juicy curve liquidity above us and all these stop losses that needed to get run. And we said the chances are, if we do get a break in the structure here, we're going to rotate all the way up to run those stops. That's going to be the fuel. Sell stop orders are going to be the fuel, to get the market rallying up to those weak targeted highs. But we said there are some obstacles in the way. And obstacle number 1 was this supply magnet. And I've put magnets next to it because it's kind of a nice way to think of supply and demand. A magnet is something that's either going to attract the price or it's going to repel the price. Now, supply and demand tends to act like magnets. Price tends to gravitate towards those regions, and those regions have a role to play. Supply has a role to play, demand has a role to play when you think about market structure. So that's how we think about them. So we said we had some obstacles on the way up. We said we had this liquidity over here. We also had this building liquidity here, as we can see with this curve, telling us that chances are we're going to rotate up. Obstacle number 1, can Bitcoin break past this obstacle? Obstacle number 2 was the 8-hour supply zone. Obstacle number 3 was another 8-hour supply zone. Then we said, well, if these are obstacles, we're going to look for trades at these levels. And we're going to see whether we can get potential scalps off this levels. Obviously, we were in that long all the way from down here, right? We were in that long, and we're going to talk about how that trade progressed. So let's get straight into that. So as of the time of that trade, we were around here. We've got all these doodles around, we've got these notes, ignore that. And we're just going to go through what's happened step by step. Bearing in mind, these are the obstacles and the zones we were looking out for. And this is the big trade we were potentially looking out for as well. That was on the 8 hour. But prior to that, let me just double check that, make sure I'm correct. Yeah, prior to that, we had another level here, at the top of that liquidity curve. So that's coming in around here. Okay, so I'm just going to draw that in. I have deleted it since, because obviously market price has progressed, but there was a zone there. And I'm just going to double check where that was and what zone it was. We don't have a label next to it, but that was roughly the location. So we're going to play the price action, and we're going to build up a narrative and talk about what's happened. So as I said, on the bigger time frame, if we look on the 4 hour, we know clearly, we've been talking about this for the longest time. We've got a massive global range high, range low. What do ranges do? Ranges oscillate. So we're rotating within our range. We marked down, we reacted off supply, we distributed, we marked down, and then reacted off a higher supply again, and then we marked down, and we've just been rotated in this range. But the big question is, at this range low, are we going to break down from this range, or are we going to rotate all the way up again? And if we do rotate up, can we conjure up the strength to retest these levels at 74,000 pounds, not pounds, dollars, for a nice juicy rotation short all the way down? So that's what we've been looking at for. We've been in this range for it's coming over 40 days now, honestly. If we take a look, yeah, it's almost a 40-day range, so we're still within this range. And why does Bitcoin range, and why does price range for long duration of time? It does so it can generate liquidity for a massive move. So the fact we're ranging here is a sign that there is a big move coming. No one knows exactly when it's going to happen. Price action obviously will give you signals internally, but no one knows exactly when this range is going to break. But when it does, best believe it's going to be explosive. It's going to be explosive. So all you can do is plan your trade and trade your plan. So let's get into where we were. So we were in this zone, we marked up, and we caught this long, and I gave out that long, and we talked about being inside that long, and what we said, we're looking to rotate all the way up. But a few interesting things happened, things that I wasn't too pleased about, I wasn't too happy about, but we're going to talk about it. So obviously price rallied up, printing higher highs and higher lows, as we can see, printing higher highs and higher lows. All right, and as price rallies up, let's just get a clear view for you guys. As price rallies up, okay, this is our first sign of weakness. Why is this a sign of weakness? Well, if we follow the market structure, we have high high, high low, high high, high low, high high, high low, high high, and that high high is just tagged our supply zone. Interesting. Why is it showing a sign of weakness just after tagging our supply zone? It's because we've got some involvement at that level. We've got some involvement, and we've got sellers stepping in at supply, right? And why is this a sign of weakness? Well, we can see this is a sign of weakness because we expect at least this to have retraced down and pumped up. Okay, we expect it to have done that, but it did not. Instead, it had this, curl that sort of said, "Oh, I'm kind of losing energy here. I'm losing energy here." So as a result, what happened? We got a transition in market structure. Okay, we got a transition in market structure, and as we can see here, we broke market structure bearish after that. So that would have been our change in market structure. Now that is the sign, for those of you who enter that long with myself, that there was a sign to get out of your long. That was a sign to get out. And obviously this happened on Thursday. So that was a sign to get out of your long. As soon as you see a transition in market structure over there, that tells you that price could potentially be coming down, to test those lows again. But as we said, we were waiting for a trade in that level. So if you did enter that trade, that would have been a really good place to get that scalp. All right, for those of you who entered, well done. Personally, I didn't enter that because I wasn't in the charts when it happened. But if I was, I would have been waiting for a retracement off of this break. Let's see. Do we get a retracement off this break? Well, price comes down, we don't really get much market structure. So unless you set a limit order there, which I wouldn't advise, chances are you probably didn't catch that one. Okay, but what did price come down for, and why did price come down? Well, price came down to get more liquidity. It came down, it set this first tap. So what we've got here is we've got tap number 1, then we've got tap number 2, and now it's set tap number 3. Now what's that sounding like? That's sounding like Trinity Model 1, where each tap is lower than the prior tap. Okay, and it's kind of, you could call it a rule of 3. I mean, as I say all the time, 3 is a very important number when it comes to trading, because usually when price does to do something once and it fails, and it tries to do something twice and it fails, usually price would do the opposite. Price will usually say, "Do you know what? it's not working out today. Today's not my day. So that's 1, 2, 3. Okay, 3 is a big number when it comes to trading. All right, so we've had tap number 1, tap number 2, tap number 3. All right, so you could have entered this obviously based off of Trinity Model 1. All right, you could have definitely entered this based off of Trinity Model 1. Now let's see. Did we get an entry as far as market structure? It's all fair and square coming back to our zone. But remember, as we say on this channel, no change, no trade. No change in market structure, no trade. So let's see, did we get a change in market structure? Well, in order for us to enter this trade and justify this trade, what we would need to see is we would need to see our last lower high get taken. Now, if we trace our market structure, our last lower high, at least on the 10-minute, is all the way up here. So what does that tell me? That tells me the risk to reward on this one, it's not looking good. It's not looking good so far. All right. So as we carry on, price then rallies up. It creates that third tap, and we can see now that price breaks structure. So now it breaks structure. It takes out that last lower high. Now, as soon as it's broken structure there, only now can you really consider a trade for that retracement all the way up. Okay, unless you enter this, say on a 3-minute. Let's see on a 3-minute, did we get much structure to enter this trade? Could we have entered this on the 3-minute? Now, the lower you go in terms of your time frame, the less likely your trade is to work. But I guess on the 3-minute, yes, we did have an entry. We had a low, we had a high, a lower low, we had a last lower high. No, actually, we had another lower low, we had a last lower high, dipped in, then we broke structure. So really and truly, actually, you could have entered a trade there. Okay, that would have been a decent place to enter that trade right around here at that retracement leg if you use this last lower high. If you did not use that break, let's say you use that break, well, you got a break up and then you got a tiny retracement, so you also could have entered a trade there if you use a 3-minute structure. Okay, so based on the 3-minute, you could have entered that one. But if you wanted the higher time frame structure to break and you were waiting, that didn't happen all the way up to about 64,000. All right, and then if that's the case, you would have waited for that break and entered your trade around there. Okay, but let's see, did we get a decent retracement? As we play this, did we get a retracement? Well, price plays around at that level. It starts to distribute. But where is it distributing, guys? Where is it distributing? It's distributing at our 15-minute supply zone. So people say supply and demand doesn't work. I mean, come on. See how price respects these levels, and it respects it very, very, very well. And what you also have to realize here is that you've got liquidity, lots of liquidity action. You've got a curve liquidity that got swept. So obviously we had this rotation down, which got taken, which got swept, and then on the way up we generated another curve liquidity, which got swept down. All right, so liquidity was definitely leaving its tracks and giving us a sign of what was to come. Now, I got into a long around here, but I got stopped out and I did not enter a long here because I wasn't in the chart when that happened. I wish I did, because as we were speaking about last week, we were expecting this rotation all the way up, and it's the rotation we are currently seeing at the moment. It just so happened that price wanted to go back one more time to grab a little bit more liquidity for that move. All right, so let's see where we were. So obviously now we distribute at this level. This is a zone. If we distribute at that level, what do you think is going to happen? Probably going to get a reaction at that level. Did we get a reaction at that level? Well, let's see. We distribute, we break down. Of course we did. We get a decent reaction at that level. It wasn't the craziest reaction, but there's no reason why you couldn't have scalped this. There's no reason why, based on what we do on this channel, there's no reason why you could not have scalped that level there if you got a decent break in market structure. Now, did we get a break in market structure? I'm pretty sure we did, because I can see clearly here we have our range. We break out of said range. As we break out of this range, we retest. That was your entry, and we could have at least rode that down to that previous demand zone. Okay, that previous demand zone, and that zone is exactly where we react from to get that second leg up. Okay, so let's follow the price action. Let's see what it does. So we've obviously broken down from that range, and then what does price start to do? Price starts to rally up, and as it rallies up, it's again, I'm watching this as a range, and I'm seeing that it's creating this nice liquidity line. All right, so it's building up liquidity to get a reaction, and let's carry on and let's see how price reacts. So it distributes at that level, it distributes at that zone, and you know, after the distribution, you're thinking, well, it can either break up or it can break down, and price decides to break up. And as price decides to break up, let's see, do we have an entry? Do we have a pullback into our zone? And what type of pullback was it? Was it a type A? Was it a type B? Or was it a type C? All right, let's talk about that. So here we've got our range. We've got a continuation out of that range, and we've got a pullback into our zone. If we follow our structure looks like this. On the pullback, our structure looks like lower low. Actually, I'll get rid of that. Let's use purple. Our structure looks like lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, and then we break structure. As soon as we broke structure there, that's your indication that we're looking to at least test this high, because that becomes a weak high, and then we're looking to potentially break out of that range. So if you wanted, you could have entered a trade off of that break, and your entry would have been there. Okay, so that's how you would have entered that one, and that would have been a decent continuation play, and that would have got you to where we are at the moment. All right, so here we are sitting at 66,435, and Bitcoin is still playing this game. Bitcoin does not want to show its hand, right? But it has this bullish tendency. It seems like it wants to rotate all the way up. So what am I looking out for at the moment? Well, what I'm looking for is very clear. I realize that we are still in another range. Remember, the market is trading in a range almost over 70% of the time, especially Bitcoin. Bitcoin loves these ranges. So if you don't know how to trade ranges, you're playing yourself, honestly. You need to learn how to trade ranges. You need to learn all the range models there are, and you need to understand them. So whenever you see a range, you can clearly identify it, and you can plan how to execute and capitalize from this range. But as we can see, we've got a range here. We've got a nice little range here that we've got at the bottom, and above that we've got this 8-hour supply zone. Again, this is our next magnet. All right, I'm going to get rid of that. We don't need that anymore. Don't really need that. We've got our next magnet / obstacle. So what am I looking out for? Well, I'm looking to see what price does as we are in this zone here. Okay, can price wick this prior level? At the same time it wicks this prior level, can price do the unthinkable, which is wick that level, okay, do not close above that level. And not only do I not want price to close above that level, I want it to wick the supply zone above it. I would like to see something like this at the zone, and if I see that with a bearish transition in market structure, I'm in that trade to get a rotation at least all the way down to these levels here. Then I'm going to take profit and also look to rotate it back to that next zone. Okay, so that's my next trade. That's the trade I'm looking for, and that's the trade I'm hoping for. Well, we're currently at this level now, so we need to be watching the charts to see if we're going to get our confirmation. Now, what's going to happen if we do not respect that level and we break through that level? Well, that's fine. As soon as we break through that level, that's great. If we get a close above that level, we're waiting to see where we're going to get that pullback. Could we get a pullback from this zone here? And if we do get that pullback, can we catch that continuation play here? Can we catch that continuation play here? Can we get that long trade from around there? How am I going to know exactly where that long trade is going to be? Well, I'm going to investigate these levels here. Look at all that liquidity. I'm going to check where are the zones? Where are the demand zones over here? Do we have some demand zones over here? Do we have some demand zones over here? Okay, and not just that, I'm going to see what was the volume profile like within this region. Where is my value area high? Where is my POC? Can we get a reaction from this region here where we've got a value area high and the POC together? Can we get a reaction there? And how does that marry up with my Fibonacci pool? I don't always trade Fibonacci, but sometimes I just do my Fibonacci pool just to see what's going on. Okay, just to see what zones there are I can potentially get a reaction from. And if we do that, if we take our Fibonacci pool, from the low to the high, we don't know where that high is yet, but I guess we have to wait to see. But as far as if we take Fibonacci from that level, we could look to get a reaction at the golden ratio, which is coming in nicely into that zone, making that zone the stronger zone. Or we've also got that Fibonacci coming in at this level here, the 38% level. All right, so that's what I'm looking out for. That's what my next trade is going to be. I'm going to be looking to get a rotation here or continuation up. So that's it. There you have it. That's what I'm looking out for. I'm going to post a tidy chart of my actual setup in a second. So if you found this useful, if you found this educational, feel free to hit that, the boost button, and also don't forget to follow, and I will see you for the market update tomorrow.